So what I want to get at here is a little bit, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that whole workflow discussion, right? So now we're talking about complex assemblies of a bunch of little, bits and pieces, complex parts. I'm going to teach you a number of ways in due time of doing different types of profiles, and which you would do using sweeps. But for elementary purposes right now, we're going to simulate a mullion using a round profile, which is basically just a pipe, right? So what we need to do is draw profiles that we're going to pipe around. It's essentially just a curve. So if if I draw a using polyline, make sure project is off, I can just draw a frame around the entire profile. So there, and then up to this corner, out to that one, and then back down to close here. So that created a profile around that whole glazing surface. So the cool thing at this point is that all I have to do is type in the command pipe. So you type in pipe and hit enter, and it's going to ask you for the radius for the closed pipe. It happens to know that this is a closed curve, so I can type in a radius of however much I want. I know that I'm working in feet, so I'm going to make this radius, to make it very, very obvious to you guys, I think I'll just start with 5 inches. And this is more of a pipe feature. I can change the radius across the pipe. Don't worry about that. You just want to hit enter, right? So press enter for none. That means it'll be uniform around the whole thing. And that's what it made. It made a round section around the entire profile. Okay, so what does that mean for us when it comes to mullions? Well, mullions essentially just need a series of curves to be piped that simulate the actual mullion section. And right now, again, this is the very, very simplified version. It's not the rectangular profile. The rectangular profile is a little bit different in how it behaves, but it's more complex, so I wanted to do this first. So I'm just going to quickly turn this, well, no, I got to do it one by one, I think. I'll just do it on the glazing layer and then transition it, because I can't, right now I can't see my edge. Well, actually, let me do it on mullions, but I'm going to put it on wireframe. Okay, so here in wireframe, I essentially have, this is the edge of that curve. What I'm going to do is just draw a line, one line, and we're going to go from the top corner of that glazing down to the bottom corner of that glazing. And when you're working in wireframe, it takes some getting used to. You really have to zoom in to see precisely what it is you're connecting to. So I click there, and right now, currently there's the overall curve, which is that. But if I make sure that I'm looking at my other views, I can be sure to select the singular curve, which is the top one in this case, singular curve. Does that make sense? Okay, so right now all of these planes are drawn in orthogonal directions, right? So we can use the gumball to move it, and I suggest you do for now. So I'm going to just take, in the top view, I'm going to click on the red one and say -4 feet. Actually, I'll go another -4 feet, so it's -8 feet. And now here, I'm going to pop this back on, and now you can visually see where that curve lives. It's about 8 feet in along the length of that line. So now if I want a duplicate, right, I want multiples of this, I'm just going to, you could either do an array, you could do array if you wanted, but I'm just going to kind of keep hitting Alt and clicking on the red arrow, so -8 feet again. because this process using -8 feet, I only need to do it a couple of times and I'll be done. So it's easier than dealing with all the settings on array. So -8 feet again. Okay, so those are my subdivisions.
So we can, I have a question. Can we make kind of like that line before we make that pipe?
Yeah, you could draw these lines before you do the outside pipe, sure.
So we can
Yeah, I just wanted to show it kind of just as a step-by-step thing. So then at the same time now, I'm going to go back into my other view. I'll put it in wireframe, and I'm going to create another line. And this one, I'm just going to go from the midpoint of this face right there to the midpoint going back. So right there. And that's my horizontal split. Back into shaded. So now those are my subdivisions. So they're going to be my secondary mullions that are inside and splitting up the whole glazing surface. So I can do pipe. And this one, because it's individual line segments, actually, I'm going to select them all at once first. And do a pipe command. And so this one's going to ask me for a pipe radius as well. I'll make this one 3 inches. And it automatically creates a pipe on every single one of the individual line segments. And if you look up really closely, it kind of looks like this. So kind of has the weird like pipey mitered corner thingies. So again, this is not how a mullion is typically built, but it simulates, you know, for before we get into like the really kind of crazy nuances of using sweeps, I just want you to have this in your arsenal for when you want to create an architectural condition. Even though you can't do the sweep yet, you can still use this to show your mullions and glazing and stuff like that.
What was the first pipe's radius?
I did it as 5. So, but you don't have to use exactly the numbers I do. Okay, so what I would like you to do is go through the process of taking one of your surfaces, putting a pipe frame around it, and then doing interior subdivisions as well. Okay, it doesn't have to look exactly like mine, but something like that.